Hello and welcome to Tanks and Booms. First I'm gonna show you a little demonstration, play around, and then I'm gonna explain how did I integrate Kalimba with Unity, and then I'm gonna go through a little bit on the script and a couple of patches, but not too much because I'm gonna be providing the patches anyway. Great. So the way I integrated Kalimba, it was by following Sharon Taylor's video on YouTube, and she suggested to download a zip file, the Kalimba zip file from their GitHub, and after downloading it, I found a Unity 3 folder in there, which was a Unity Kalimba test scene. So what I did, I just copied the Unity 3 files from that folder, and I copied into my already made tank level, and I just made sure not to override anything, any duplications. I just skipped the duplications, and surprisingly it worked as soon as I've put in Kalimba in there. So in this one here, I'm calling Kalimba audio engine basically, and I'm calling my master patch, which is called matepatch, which is placed in the PD folder, just right here in the streaming assets that I also copied from the other Kalimba test folder. And so you can find it here, all the related patches that are in smaller patches that are included in the big master patch, which is the matepatch. You can see a couple of valves over here. I just wanted, for demonstration purposes, I wanted to show you that PD can also play valves if you trigger them. So I triggered these obstacles, which can be found here, the metallic obstacles. So when you go in there, the colliders will trigger this random box, which triggers a random 4, triggers a selector, and the selector will decide, the random will decide which one to be played when this is being hit. So you can see, oops, so you can see that every time I hit it, there's a different one is being triggered. Great. So let's go through the music first. When round starting, so this is when the game initializes itself. It just starts. That's where I start the intro, which is only the drum, this guy, and when it goes further, the round playing, so when the actual round is on, I stop the drum and I start the whole music, which made of 3 separate layers: drum, bass line, and the pads, which you will see once I send it through to you. Then once the round is ending, the music stops and the drum starts again. I just make sure the drum starts again. I did tell it to start the drum because it's a loop, so it's starting again in circles. But just in case, if it didn't catch this message, I just put it here, and then in the end, when I quit the application, on application quit, I put that line there. It basically closes and stops everything, including the DSP engine, which I first trigger on the top. So when the whole game starts, the DSP is being triggered, which is this one here, and I declare it right there in the top. So this one turns on, this one turns off. Great. Tank movement. I'm going to show you the tank movement. That's the green banks are usually turning all the time. Basically, they turn something on. The red one turns something off, and the orange ones they kind of merge. They turn on and off things as well. Those things just a one shot, so they don't need to be turned off. Great. So the engine here, this guy is the idle on. That turns the engine on and puts it into a default, which I tell it here. So I trigger all these values that I just mangled around and I find out. So this is the advanced engine built from Andy Farnell's Designing Sound book, and so in order to have a default setting, I just had to set up these details, values to it, and I call, there we go, I call this idle on in the beginning when the level starts, and then instead of focusing on how the audio relates to each other, I was focusing what the player does with the buttons. So when you hit a button down, a movement forward or backwards, that's the axis. When the player holds the button down, W or S, that will bang the engine accelerate. This one here, and this is going up by a metronome that is being triggered by this button, and the metronome is very quick, and it starts on a value of 354. That's just, this is the two numbers that I figured that the engine has the most ideal engine-y sound. So the top, when it goes to the top, that's 0.456. The engine idling sound is a 0.354. So this one goes up and this one goes backwards. I said goes backwards. It doesn't want to go backwards. Why not? Okay. Here we go. Okay. So you can see how unstable this system is, but not because of me, I assume, but because of procedural audio generally. Yeah, so this one is just counts backwards, whereas this one counts upwards. Great. This sequence thing, so this one, this metronome thing, is basically, I discovered that when I was building the music engine, because the whole drum and everything is being so this counting system is, this one is more straightforward than the other one that I showed you. I should have started with this because it shows clearly that it starts from F0, float 0, and then it adds 1 to it every single time it's being triggered by the metronome. Great. So tank movement, tank health, and let me just quickly explain the tank health. So you heard this alarming sound, the distress alarm, which again grows gradually using the same metronome technique. So that one is, I tell the system that when the health drops down to below 30, the health as a default it starts from 100, and when it drops down to 30 or below, it will trigger the alarm on, and when you're dead and it's 0 or 0 but you're not dead but pretty much dead, that's when the alarm is being turned off. So that's all I had the time for. I will provide these PD patches and you will be able to walk through it. I hope I touched base on everything that was mandatory. Thank you.